Hello and welcome to World Information HD, your go-to channel for fascinating deep dives into history, treasures, curiosities, and the unexpected. Today we're exploring a topic that turns everyday pocket change into potential gold, the top 15 most valuable and rare U.S. Lincoln wheat pennies worth millions. These humble 1-cent coins, minted from 1909 to 1958, might look ordinary, but some contain extraordinary value. Over the next few minutes we'll look at how to spot these hidden gems, learn why certain dates and mint eras drive super high prices, and see the stories behind coins that once cost a single cent but now can fetch entire fortunes. Stay tuned, whether you're a collector, a historian, or simply someone who enjoys. What if I found a treasure in my change? This list will intrigue and perhaps inspire you to check those old jars, drawers, and piggy banks. Today, we're unlocking another fascinating chapter in American coinage, the story of the 1925 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. This is one coin that might be sitting unnoticed in your coin jar or old family collection, yet it carries a legacy of nearly a century, mystery, and of course, serious collector value. Let's begin our journey back in time to the year 1925. A time when America was roaring through the Jazz Age, when flappers and Ford Model Ts ruled the streets, and the stock market was soaring towards an uncertain future. In the middle of this golden yet turbulent decade, the United States Mint struck millions of copper coins, the beloved Lincoln wheat cents. But not all of them were created equal. Some bore tiny mint marks that told their origin, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco. But the no-mint mark pennies, minted in Philadelphia, had a story of their own. They might look ordinary, but if you know what to look for, these little brown coins can reveal a world of difference between a simple penny and a small fortune. The 1925 Lincoln wheat penny was part of the classic wheat reverse design series that ran from 1909 to 1958, one of the most iconic designs in American coinage. On the obverse side, you'll find Abraham Lincoln's profile, a dignified portrait by Victor David Brenner, introduced to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. Beneath his portrait, the year 1925 shines clearly, and if your coin doesn't have a mint mark below the date, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, two stylized stalks of wheat curved gracefully along the sides, symbolizing prosperity and hard work, fitting symbols for a nation that was rapidly changing, inventing, and industrializing. Between those wheat ears, the bold words 1 cent and United States of America appear, along with the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one. At first glance, it might look like any old penny. But beneath its reddish-brown copper surface hides the story of a minting year that produced some interesting variations and rare conditions that make the 1925 no-mint mark Lincoln penny a favorite among collectors today. Now, let's talk about what makes this coin so special. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 139 million pennies in 1925, a fairly large number for the time. However, not all coins survived in good condition. Many were used daily in commerce, buying candy, newspapers, or a loaf of bread during the 1920s. Because of this heavy circulation, high-grade examples are much harder to find today. If you happen to discover one in your possession, the condition of the coin, known as its grade, plays the biggest role in determining how much it's worth. In good or very good condition, where most of the details are worn but the date and design are still visible, the coin might bring only a few cents or a couple of dollars. But in fine or very fine condition, where Lincoln's hair and beard details are still distinct, the value starts to rise. In extremely fine condition, where most of the design remains sharp with only light wear on the highest points, collectors begin to take serious interest. And when you reach the uncirculated grades, those rare coins that were preserved without ever entering daily use, the value can climb dramatically. Uncirculated coins show full luster and rich red or reddish-brown toning, often gleaming like they were struck yesterday. These pristine examples are the treasures that every collector dreams of owning, the kind that can turn a small copper coin into a collectible masterpiece worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Now, the most remarkable feature of the 1925 penny is how it bridges the early and later eras of wheat cent production. By 1925, the design had matured, die quality was improving, and minting processes were getting more consistent. But Philadelphia coins often show strong strikes and excellent detail, something that appeals to professional numismatists. Still, the beauty of this coin lies not only in its looks but in its variations and errors. You see, coin production back then was not as computerized or precise as it is today. As a result, certain 1925 Lincoln pennies show minting errors, tiny mistakes that now make them incredibly desirable to collectors. Some examples include die cracks, where small raised lines appear on the coin's surface due to a damaged die clashes, where the design from one side transfers faintly to the other, and off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't aligned properly during minting. These kinds of unique features can multiply a coin's value many times over. Collectors love errors because they're like fingerprints, each one unique, a little accident in the minting process that turns a common coin into something special. So, the next time you're looking through a handful of old change, check carefully. You might see a faint doubling of the date or lettering. That could indicate a doubled die, which can be worth a small fortune. Another reason why the 1925 Lincoln cent stands out is its historical context. Think about it. This coin circulated during the years leading up to the Great Depression. Every penny mattered back then. People held on to their coins tightly, and the idea that such a small denomination could one day become collectible would have seemed unbelievable. These coins have passed through generations, through wars, through decades of change, from the roaring 1920s, to the dark days of the 1930s, to the post-war boom and the modern digital age. Finding a 1925 penny today feels like holding a piece of living history in your hands. Now, let's talk about how collectors judge value more specifically. Coins are graded on a scale known as the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70. A grade of 1 means the coin is barely identifiable, while a perfect 70 means it's flawless. A true gem. A 1925 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in a low grade might sell for a few dollars. But one that grades MS65 red or higher, meaning full original color and sharp detail, can command astonishing prices at coin shows and auctions. There have been auction records where beautifully preserved examples have fetched several $1,000s due to their color, luster, and sharpness. Collectors often pay premiums for coins that retain their original red hue, since copper coins naturally darken and tone over time. So, if yours has that bright fiery red look, it's something special. When evaluating your coin, make sure to handle it carefully. Hold it only by the edges to avoid fingerprints or oil damage. Use soft lighting to inspect details, and if you think your coin might be valuable, have it professionally graded by trusted services like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can dramatically increase its market value. What makes this particular coin even more appealing is its balance between accessibility and rarity. The 1925 penny is not so rare that you can't find one, but finding it in mint condition is a true challenge. That combination keeps collectors interested and the market strong year after year. For new coin enthusiasts, this coin is an ideal entry point. It's old enough to carry historical charm, yet common enough to be found in collections and estate sales. And for expert collectors, high-grade or rare versions remain prized additions to any Lincoln cent set. Now imagine this: somewhere in an old coffee can, an attic box, or a dusty drawer, a 1925 penny may have been sitting unnoticed for decades. Maybe your grandparents or great-grandparents saved it without realizing what it might become. Each one of these coins tells a story of time, of trade, of history, and sometimes, of unexpected wealth. So, if you ever stumble across one, don't just glance over it. Look closely. That small brown cent might be much more than just a relic of the past. And as we wrap up today's journey into this fascinating piece of American history, let's reveal the part you've been waiting for: the coin's potential worth. While average circulated examples might bring a few dollars, and uncirculated ones can range much higher, there have been rare and exceptional pieces. Perfectly preserved 1925 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat pennies that have sold for an astounding $63,455. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where we uncover hidden treasures hiding in plain sight. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of a small copper coin that has captured the hearts of collectors around the world. The 1940s mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it might seem like just another old cent, one you'd probably pass over without a second thought. But what if I told you that this little coin, struck over 8 decades ago in the middle of a world on the brink of chaos, could be worth thousands of dollars today? Let's journey back in time and uncover the history, secrets, and true value behind the 1940s Lincoln Wheat Penny. The year was 1940. America was still recovering from the Great Depression, and across the ocean, Europe was already engulfed in World War II. Factories were buzzing with industrial production, and the U.S. Mint was busy striking millions of coins for the American people. Amidst this era of uncertainty and rebuilding, the San Francisco Mint was quietly producing one of the most memorable and collectible coins in U.S. history, the 1940s Lincoln Wheat Penny. This penny was part of the classic wheat cent series, which had been first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was a coin meant to represent hope, strength, and unity, all symbolized through the humble face of one of America's greatest leaders. The 1940s penny was struck from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that rich reddish-brown tone that collectors love. On its obverse side, you'll find Lincoln's dignified profile facing right, accompanied by the words, "In God We Trust," arching proudly above his head. To his left, the word, "Liberty," and just behind his shoulder, the year, 1940. Beneath the date, you'll spot a small but powerful detail, the S mint mark, indicating it was minted in San Francisco, California. Now, on the reverse side, the coin bears the iconic twin wheat stalks curving around the words, 1 cent, a design created by Victor David Brenner that symbolizes America's agricultural roots and prosperity. The phrase, "E pluribus unum," meaning, "out of many one," sits at the top, a reminder of national unity during turbulent times. In total, the San Francisco Mint produced 112,940,000 of these pennies in 1940. That's a big number, but not all 1940s pennies are created equal. Over time, countless coins were spent, lost, or corroded beyond recognition. Those that survived in pristine, uncirculated condition became the true gems of the collecting world. The condition of a coin, what collectors call its grade, plays a major role in determining how much it's worth. A 1940s penny that has seen years of circulation, with scratches, wear, and faded details, might only be worth a few cents above face value. But a coin that has been preserved in near-perfect condition, with its luster intact and sharp details on Lincoln's face and the wheat stalks, can be worth a fortune. Let's talk about what makes this particular penny so fascinating. Even though millions were made, minting errors and die variations make some of them stand out dramatically. Some 1940s pennies display off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank coin was not properly aligned in the press. Others may have doubled dies, meaning certain details, like the date or lettering, appear slightly doubled under magnification. These rare errors make collectors pay top dollar, as they're essentially mint-made anomalies that add historical intrigue and value. In some cases, you'll even find coins with repunched mint marks, where the S appears to have been struck more than once. These subtle imperfections are highly sought after by coin enthusiasts who know how to spot them. So, if you happen to have a 1940s penny sitting in your drawer or coin jar, take a closer look. You might be holding something incredibly special. Now let's explore how to identify its true worth. Professional coin grading services, such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, use a scale from 1 to 70 to evaluate coins. The higher the grade, the closer it is to perfect mint state condition. A circulated 1940s penny, the kind that has been used in everyday transactions, might range in value from just 5 cents to $1 or $2, depending on wear and color. But once you reach the uncirculated MS levels, things start to get interesting. A 1940s penny graded MS63 red-brown could be worth anywhere from $10 to $30, while a brilliant red MS65 example can easily cross the $100 mark. And then there are the top-tier coins, those in MS67 condition or higher, with blazing original luster and not a single visible mark to the naked eye. These are the true crown jewels of Lincoln wheat pennies. Collectors are especially drawn to the 1940s penny not only because of its beauty and rarity in higher grades but also because of its place in history. Think about it. This coin was struck when Franklin D. Roosevelt was president, when America was just beginning to emerge as a global power. Every cent produced that year tells a story of resilience, of a country preparing for a future that would soon change dramatically with the onset of World War II. For many collectors, holding a 1940s penny isn't just about the metal. It's about holding a piece of that time, a tangible reminder of an era when every coin mattered, and every penny could buy something meaningful. Over the decades, coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters have scoured estate sales, old boxes, and coin rolls, hoping to find one of these extraordinary 1940s pennies in exceptional condition. Some lucky individuals have indeed stumbled upon specimens that are so flawless, they've fetched astonishing prices at major coin auctions. What makes this coin even more exciting is that many of these high-grade examples were once overlooked. A penny tossed into a jar by someone in 1940 might have sat forgotten in a basement for generations, only to reappear decades later, shining with the same luster it had the day it was minted. Imagine finding a coin like that, untouched, glowing with its original copper brilliance, its edges crisp, its strike sharp. That's the kind of coin collectors dream of, and that's why the 1940s Lincoln wheat penny continues to capture so much attention even today. Now, before you rush to check your own collection or that old coin jar, let's talk about what to look for. First, check the mint mark. You should see a small S under the year 1940. This confirms it was made at the San Francisco Mint. Next, inspect the coin's color and luster. Coins with a bright, original red tone are typically worth far more than those that have turned brown over time. Then, look closely at the details. Lincoln's hair, the wheat stalks, the lettering. The sharper and more defined they are, the higher the potential grade and value. If you think your penny might be something special, it's worth having it authenticated and graded professionally. Sometimes, even a small difference in condition can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars in value. Many collectors viewed the 1940s penny as a cornerstone of the Lincoln wheat series. It represents a transitional period in American coinage, a time just before the war years when the U.S. Mint was still using high-quality copper. In just a few short years, wartime demands would lead to drastic changes in composition, resulting in steel cents being struck in 1943. That means the 1940s penny is one of the last of its kind before America shifted its priorities and materials to support the war effort. It's both a historical artifact and a collectible treasure rolled into one. So, the next time you come across a handful of old pennies, remember that even the most ordinary-looking one could hold an extraordinary story, and perhaps an extraordinary value. And here's the most incredible part of all. In pristine, mint state condition. Graded at the highest levels with blazing red luster and no visible imperfections, the 1940s mint mark Lincoln wheat penny has sold for an astonishing price of $37,645. So check your change, your coin jars, your family's old keepsake boxes, because sometimes a forgotten penny from 1940 can turn out to be a treasure worth more than you ever imagined. Thank you for watching World Information HD, where we bring you the most fascinating stories behind rare coins and hidden wealth. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss another coin discovery that could change your life. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your pennies close, because the next big fortune could already be in your pocket. Welcome back to World Information HD, the ultimate channel where rare coins meet hidden treasures and where we reveal the secrets behind the most valuable pieces of American history that could be sitting right in your pocket right now. Today, we're diving into the story of a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but behind its worn copper surface lies a fascinating history, a connection to World War II, and a collector's dream that could make you rethink every single penny you've ever handled. This is the story of the 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that has stood the test of time, and in some cases, become worth a small fortune. So grab your magnifying glass, settle in, and let's explore the mystery and money behind one of America's most talked about wheat pennies. The year was 1941, a time when the United States was standing on the brink of entering World War II. Factories were booming, copper was in high demand, and every American cent mattered. It was during this critical moment in history that the Lincoln Wheat Penny, designed by Victor David Brenner, continued its proud run. The obverse, or front side, of the coin featured the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design that had already captured the hearts of millions since 1909. His solemn face, the word, Liberty, to the left, and the famous motto, In God We Trust, along the top rim stood as symbols of strength, perseverance, and unity in a world trembling with uncertainty. On the reverse side, the design displayed two wheat ears curving along the sides, simple yet elegant, representing America's agricultural heritage and the hardworking people who kept the nation strong. But among all these beautiful and sentimental details lies something collectors obsess over: the tiny missing letter that changes everything. When you look at your 1941 penny, you might notice there's no mint mark under the date. That means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the main mint facility that traditionally didn't include a mint mark back then. Over 887 million of these pennies were minted in Philadelphia that year, which makes it sound common. But don't be fooled, not all 1941 pennies are created equal. You see, while many 1941 no mint mark Lincoln cents are worth only a few cents in circulated condition, certain examples have qualities that make them incredibly rare. From mint errors and die varieties to perfect preservation that defies time itself. Let's first talk about the minting process of the time. The early 1940s saw rapid production of coins due to increasing demand. Mints were operating at full capacity, and minor mistakes often slipped through unnoticed. These small imperfections are exactly what makes certain coins special today. Some 1941 pennies were struck with doubled dies, a fascinating error that occurs when the design is impressed twice at slightly different angles. If you examine such a coin closely, you might notice doubling on the letters, Liberty, in God We Trust, or even the date, 1941. Collectors prize these double die varieties because they're visible to the naked eye, and their uniqueness guarantees a higher price. Other rare types include off-center strikes, die cracks, and lamination errors, where part of the metal flaked during minting, all of which can make your 1941 wheat penny far more valuable than you'd ever expect. But condition. That's where the true magic happens. A coin's condition is graded on a scale known as the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor P1 to mint state MS 70. Most circulated 1941 pennies fall between good G4 and very fine VF 30 grades, showing heavy wear and scratches from years of use. These are generally worth a few cents to a few dollars depending on eye appeal. However, once a 1941 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is found in pristine, uncirculated condition, with original luster, sharp strike, and no signs of wear, its value jumps dramatically. Collectors and investors alike seek out those top-tier coins, particularly ones graded MS 65 red or higher. The word red in grading refers to the coin's color, fresh, original copper red shine that hasn't darkened or oxidized over time. Such coins are the crown jewels of Lincoln cent collections. Now let's take a closer look at the history behind this iconic penny's rise in value. During 1941, Americans used these coins daily, to buy a cup of coffee, a loaf of bread, or even a newspaper. Few imagined they were handling what would one day become a sought-after collector's item. When the U.S. entered the war in December of that same year, copper became crucial for military equipment. This would lead to one of the biggest coin design changes in history just 2 years later, the introduction of the 1943 steel penny. That historical transition gave earlier copper coins like the 1941 penny even greater nostalgic and collector value, representing the end of an era before the war completely reshaped America's economy. Over the decades, coin collectors, also known as numismatists, have hunted relentlessly for high-quality examples of the 1941 no mint mark wheat penny. Auction houses have seen incredible bidding wars for coins that look as if they were just struck yesterday, despite being more than 8 decades old, and every now and then, a discovery story surfaces, someone cleaning out an attic, sorting through an old jar of change, or even a kid checking their grandparents' coin collection, and there it is. A gleaming 1941 penny in near-perfect condition. One such find came from a collector who had unknowingly kept a roll of old wheat pennies for years. Inside, he discovered several 1941 no-mint mark coins in gem-uncirculated condition. When graded and sold, one of them shocked experts with its brilliance and sharp detail, fetching a massive four-figure price at auction. That's the beauty of coin collecting: history, mystery, and value all wrapped into something small enough to fit in your hand. But what makes these coins truly special is not just their monetary value, it's their connection to America's past. Each scratch, each tone of copper, tells a story. It might have passed through the hands of a soldier's family, a farmer during the Great Depression, or a child buying candy from a corner store in the 1940s. Holding one of these pennies is like holding a piece of living history, tangible evidence of a nation's endurance and its people's resilience. Now, let's talk a bit about identifying a valuable specimen. If you have a 1941 no-mint mark penny, start by checking its surface condition under good lighting. Does it still have a shiny copper-red color? Or has it turned brown with age? The redder and more lustrous it appears, the higher its grade, and the greater its value. Next, look closely at the details: Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat. The sharper these are, the less circulation the coin has seen. Also, inspect for any unusual features: doubling, off-center strikes, cracks, or other anomalies. If your coin appears uncirculated or has any unusual traits, consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A certification not only authenticates the coin but can also dramatically increase its market value. Today, collectors all over the world actively seek out these early 1940s wheat pennies. They represent a time of transition, between peace and war, between the classic copper era and the experimental steel years that followed. The 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny remains one of the most collected coins in American history, a humble yet powerful reminder of the nation's enduring spirit and craftsmanship. From history buffs to investors, everyone sees something special in this coin. And that's why, even though millions were minted, the few that have survived in gem condition command incredible prices today. So next time. Welcome back to World Information HD. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of American coinage, a world filled with history, mystery, and sometimes unimaginable value. In this video, we'll be exploring one of the most talked about coins among collectors, the 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny from the United States of America. This humble little copper coin may look ordinary to the untrained eye, but what if we told you that inside that small circle of metal lies a story of war, rarity, and fortune? Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll learn how a penny from 1942 could change your life, and how to find out if the one in your collection might be worth thousands of dollars. So sit back, relax, and let's uncover the secrets behind one of the most valuable and interesting Lincoln cents ever struck. The year was 1942. The world was in turmoil. The Second World War had reached its peak, and the United States had fully entered the conflict after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Everything in America began to shift towards supporting the war effort. From factories to food, from steel to silver, nearly every material was redirected to military production. Even something as small as a penny had to adapt. The U.S. Mint faced the challenge of producing billions of 1-cent coins while conserving copper, which was desperately needed for ammunition and communication wires. Although the most famous wartime penny, the steel cent, wasn't released until 1943, 1942 stood at the crossroads of change. During this year, the Lincoln wheat penny was still being made primarily from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, just as it had been since its introduction in 1909. But because of the wartime metal shortages, some minor variations began appearing, and not all pennies were created equal. The 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, has become a collector's favorite for its classic design, historical importance, and potential hidden value. Let's talk about the design, which has stood the test of time. On the front of the coin, you'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, can sometimes be seen at the bottom of the reverse on earlier coins. Lincoln faces right, with the word Liberty on his left and the year 1942 on his right. Above his head, the national motto, "In God We Trust," shines proudly. On the reverse, two wheat ears frame the words 1 cent in large letters. Above them, the phrase, "E pluribus unum," meaning, "out of many one," serves as a timeless reminder of unity. The simple but elegant design earned it the nickname, Wheat Penny. The no mint mark simply means that this coin was struck in Philadelphia, which, at that time, didn't use a mint mark. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this coin special if millions were made? That's an excellent question. Over 657 million 1942 Lincoln cents were minted in Philadelphia alone. But not all of them are the same. Variations in the metal composition, striking errors, and condition can make the difference between a coin worth a single cent and one worth a small fortune. Let's explore some of these variations. Some 1942 pennies were accidentally struck with minor die cracks, doubled dies, or off-center strikes, and those mistakes, rare as they are, make the coin extremely desirable. Collectors pay a premium for any visible minting error, especially if it's dramatic. For instance, a double die obverse version of the 1942 penny, where parts of the lettering, like Liberty or In God We Trust, appear slightly doubled, can fetch hundreds, even thousands, depending on its clarity and condition. Similarly, a coin that's been well preserved with its original luster, known as red, in coin grading terms, can sell for an astonishing price. Now let's talk about the grading system, the secret language of coin collectors. When you hear about coin values reaching thousands of dollars, it usually depends on the grade or condition of the coin. Coins are graded on a scale from poor P1 to mint state, MS-70. The higher the grade, the closer the coin is to its original mint condition, with sharp details, bright surfaces, and no signs of wear. A circulated 1942 no mint mark wheat penny, the kind you might find in your old coin jar, might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars. But an uncirculated one, especially one with a strong strike and full red color, can be worth hundreds or more. Collectors and investors often use professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, to verify a coin's authenticity and grade. A graded and encapsulated coin holds far more value in the market than a raw one. So, why do some 1942 Lincoln wheat pennies become so valuable while others remain ordinary? It comes down to rarity and preservation. During World War II, most copper pennies circulated heavily. People didn't think to save them, and many were eventually worn down or destroyed. Finding one today in pristine condition, untouched by time, is rare. Add to that the fact that some pennies from this year were struck on the wrong planchets, or blanks intended for other denominations or metals, and you have a perfect storm for collector excitement. Imagine finding a 1942 penny that was mistakenly struck on a silver dime planchet or one that has an unusual texture or shine. Such errors are exceedingly rare, and that rarity translates directly into value. One fascinating story among collectors involves a man in the early 2000s who bought a jar of old coins from a yard sale for a few dollars. Among the dusty copper cents sat a 1942 no mint mark penny that looked slightly shinier than the others. Thinking nothing of it, he kept it aside. A few years later, while watching a coin collecting show, he decided to get it checked. To his shock, it turned out to be an uncirculated gem, perfectly preserved, with full red luster and sharp strike marks. When he finally sold it through an auction house, it fetched a jaw-dropping sum that changed his life overnight. Stories like this remind us that treasures can hide in plain sight, even in your loose change. Another point that adds charm to the 1942 penny is its historical context. Every coin is like a time capsule. Think about it. In 1942, a penny could buy a stick of gum, a small piece of candy, or go toward a loaf of bread that cost just a few cents. Millions of Americans carried these pennies in their pockets while following the news of the war, sending letters to loved ones overseas, or buying war bonds to support the troops. Owning one of these coins today isn't just about money, it's about holding a piece of history. It's about feeling the weight of an era that changed the world. Now, let's talk about how you can check if your 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny could be worth more than you think. First, take a close look at the color. If it's bright and reddish like new copper, that's a good sign. Next, check the details. Are Lincoln's hair and beard lines sharp? Are the wheat ears on the reverse crisp and full? The sharper the details, the higher the grade. Then, look for errors, doubling, cracks, off-center strikes, or unusual surfaces. Use a magnifying glass or a digital microscope for a better view. And most importantly, if you think your coin might be valuable, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can ruin its surface and dramatically reduce its value. Always handle it carefully by the edges and, if possible, have it appraised by a professional numismatist or grading company. Collectors love the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny because it represents a pivotal moment in American history, the transition from peace to war, from copper to steel, from everyday change to collectible treasure. It's a symbol of endurance, artistry, and national pride. Even though it's over 80 years old, it continues to spark excitement among coin enthusiasts, historians, and treasure hunters. Many collectors begin their journey with pennies like these, small, affordable, and rich in history. Over time, they realize that each coin tells a story about the people who made it, the time it was struck, and the journey it took through the hands of countless Americans. So next time. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures lying quietly in your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of one of the most interesting and collectible coins in American history, the 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary old copper coin, something you might pass by without a second thought. But beneath its simple design lies a story of craftsmanship, scarcity, and a bit of mystery that keeps coin collectors talking even today. So sit tight, because this 1-cent coin has a story worth every second, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why it's considered one of the hidden gems of mid-20th century American coinage. Let's start at the beginning. The year was 1948, just a few years after World War II had ended. America was booming with optimism and rebuilding, and the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins for a rapidly growing economy. The Lincoln wheat penny, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, was still going strong. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this penny featured Lincoln's profile on the front and 2 stalks of wheat on the back, a symbol of abundance, unity, and the American working spirit. By 1948, the Lincoln wheat penny had already become a beloved part of American coinage, circulating in millions of transactions every single day. But here's where things start to get interesting. The 1948 no-mint mark penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't use a mint mark at that time. That means if you have a 1948 penny without a small d or s under the date, it was struck in Philadelphia. Now, you might be thinking, if millions of these were made, what makes this coin special? Well, the story is deeper than just mintage numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 317 million of these coins, which sounds like a lot, but survival is another matter entirely. Over the decades, countless 1948 pennies were melted down, damaged, or simply lost to time. Only a fraction of them survived in excellent condition, and even fewer in uncirculated or mint state grades. That's where rarity comes into play, not just how many were made, but how many remain pristine today. Collectors crave coins that have escaped the wear and tear of circulation, those that still shine with that original reddish-brown luster straight from the mint presses. Finding one like that from 1948 is no easy task. Let's take a closer look at the design that makes this coin iconic. On the obverse, you have Abraham Lincoln's portrait, a timeless symbol of honesty, leadership, and resilience. Just below his chin, you can still see the designer's initials, VDB, a subtle nod to Victor David Brenner, whose initials once stirred controversy when they first appeared boldly on the 1909 version. The motto, "In God We Trust," crowns the top of the coin, while "Liberty" rests proudly to the left of Lincoln's profile, and the date, 1948, gleams to the right. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the reverse, 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, surrounded by United States of America. Above them lies the enduring phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. It's a simple yet powerful design that represents unity in diversity, and that's part of what makes the wheat penny such a nostalgic treasure for Americans. But what truly sets the 1948 no-mint mark penny apart is how beautifully it bridges 2 eras: the wartime economy of the early 1940s and the modern era of the 1950s. During the war years, pennies were made of steel in 1943 due to copper shortages. But by 1948, the mint had returned to using 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, restoring that warm, classic red tone collectors love. Over time, those copper surfaces develop rich, unique patinas, from bright red to chocolate brown, and collectors often pay more for certain colors, especially those that remain fully red and lustrous after more than 7 decades. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if your 1948 penny is worth keeping? First, check for condition. If your coin shows minimal wear, sharp details, and a bright shine, you might be holding something special. Coins are graded on a scale from poor, P1, all the way to mint state, MS 70. For 1948 pennies, even a jump from one grade to the next can dramatically affect value. A well-preserved MS 65 example can be worth many times more than one that's circulated. Second, keep an eye out for errors and varieties, the small minting quirks that make certain coins incredibly desirable. While the 1948 no-mint mark penny isn't famous for major varieties, collectors have reported subtle die cracks, doubled dies, and off-center strikes that add value. Imagine finding one with a faint doubling on "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." That could transform a common penny into a treasure. Let's also talk about history. Every coin carries a bit of the time it was born into. In 1948, President Harry S. Truman was leading the nation through post-war recovery. Television was just beginning to enter American homes. The cost of a loaf of bread was about 14 cents, and a brand new car could be bought for around $1,300. A penny had real purchasing power then, not just a fraction of a cent, but something that could buy candy or newspapers. Holding a 1948 penny today is like holding a time capsule, a small, copper witness to an era of rebuilding, progress, and optimism. Collectors often say the wheat penny is the best place to start a coin collection. It's affordable, full of history, and visually striking. But among them, certain years stand out, and 1948 from the Philadelphia Mint holds a special place because it marked the final few years before major design changes began shaping the Lincoln Cents future. By 1959, the beloved wheat design would be replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse, ending half a century of wheat penny history. That's why collectors value coins like the 1948 issue. It represents the twilight of an era. Now, let's discuss how experts determine its true market value. Numismatists, professional coin graders, examine every detail under magnification. They look for sharp strikes, original luster, and any contact marks. A typical worn 1948 penny might fetch just a few cents above face value, but as condition improves, so does the price, dramatically. Coins graded MS 60 and above enter the realm of collectible investment. The redder and cleaner the surface, the more collectors are willing to pay. Some examples have sold for hundreds of dollars even in slightly circulated condition. But the real excitement begins with coins in gem condition, preserved as if they had just left the mint presses yesterday. Imagine opening an old coin jar passed down from a grandparent, sifting through decades of change, and spotting a 1948 Lincoln wheat penny that glows with that original copper fire. That's the moment every coin hunter dreams of, when a forgotten cent suddenly turns into a piece of history and value combined. Collectors also treasure the no-mint mark detail because it ties directly to Philadelphia's proud legacy, the birthplace of American coinage. Unlike the Denver or San Francisco mints, Philadelphia's coins bore no identifying letter for much of the 20th century. That absence is its own signature, quietly telling you where it came from. If you have one of these coins, store it properly. Keep it away from moisture, air, and fingerprints. A simple touch can alter the color and reduce value over time. Use soft gloves or a coin holder to preserve it, because the more natural brilliance it keeps, the higher it can climb in worth. As we wrap up, remember that every old coin tells a story, not just about metal and minting, but about the hands it passed through, the economy it served, and the history it survived. The 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is a symbol of endurance, of how something as small as a penny can still shine through decades of change. So the next time you come across a dusty jar of old coins or receive change at the grocery store, take a closer look. That little brown cent might just be the start of a new adventure, a window into America's rich numismatic past. Because hidden in those tiny copper discs are stories of generations, artistry, and value far beyond a single cent. And for one very lucky collector, a perfectly preserved 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny once sold for an astonishing $34,654. Welcome to World Information HD, your trusted destination for uncovering the hidden treasures that might be lying right inside your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. You may think it's just an old copper coin, but this small piece of metal has a story to tell, a story filled with history, rarity, and unexpected value. So sit back and get ready, because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself checking your coin jar a little more carefully tonight. The year was 1951, a time when the United States was recovering from the effects of World War II, and the country was booming with growth and optimism. Television was becoming a part of daily life, cars were symbols of success, and a loaf of bread cost just 16 cents. Yet, during that same time, the U.S. Mint continued to strike millions of Lincoln wheat pennies, coins that would quietly pass through the hands of ordinary Americans for decades, completely unnoticed for their true potential value. The Lincoln wheat penny had already been in circulation for over 40 years by then. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and not just any person, but one of the most iconic presidents in American history. The obverse of the coin proudly bears Lincoln's profile, a symbol of leadership and freedom, while the reverse shows two simple wheat stalks curving along the sides, representing prosperity and growth, a fitting symbol for a nation rising from hardship. But what makes the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so special? To understand that, we first need to talk about where it came from. The U.S. Mint produced these coins in three main locations that year: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark below the date, while those from San Francisco show an S. However, coins struck in Philadelphia have no mint mark at all, just a clean, simple date, 1951. Now, at first glance, the lack of a mint mark may not seem rare. In fact, most Philadelphia coins don't carry one. But here's where things get interesting. Even though over 284 million Lincoln wheat pennies were struck in Philadelphia in 1951, only a small number survived in exceptional, high-grade condition. Over the decades, most of them were spent, scratched, corroded, or damaged through everyday circulation. What remains now are a few incredibly well-preserved examples that collectors go absolutely crazy for, especially those with full red luster and no signs of wear. Imagine a coin that has survived for more than 7 decades, through recessions, wars, and countless hands, yet still looks as if it was struck yesterday. That's the magic of a true gem uncirculated 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny. It's like a window into the past, perfectly frozen in time. Now you might be wondering, how do I know if my 1951 penny is valuable? Excellent question. The first thing to check is whether your penny has a mint mark under the date. If it doesn't, you've got a Philadelphia issue, the no mint mark variety we're talking about today. Next, look at its condition. If it's worn down, with Lincoln's face faded or the wheat stalks nearly flat, it likely holds only face value or a few cents to collectors. But if it shines with that original copper-red glow, crisp details, and sharp edges, you may be holding something extraordinary. Collectors use a grading scale to determine a coin's quality, from good all the way to mint state. A coin in good condition might sell for a small premium, while those graded mint state 65 or higher, with flawless surfaces and brilliant color, can reach prices that would surprise even the most experienced collectors. The difference between a dull brown coin and a blazing red gem can literally be hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. Let's take a moment to appreciate the design details that make this coin so appealing to collectors. The obverse, or front, displays Lincoln's portrait in crisp relief, with the words, "In God We Trust," arching above his head. To the left, the word, "Liberty," balances the design, while the date, 1951, sits neatly on the right side. Below the date, you'll notice there's no mint mark, confirming that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, two beautifully engraved wheat stalks frame the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one, across the top. It's a simple yet deeply meaningful design, a piece of artistry that connects the everyday coin to the soul of a nation. Now, here's something many people don't know: not all 1951 no-mint mark wheat pennies were struck perfectly. Some coins have fascinating mint errors that add even more value. For instance, you might find a double-dyed verse, where parts of the design, like the date or lettering, appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. There are also off-center strikes, repunch dates, or die cracks, all of which can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. One of the most exciting parts of coin collecting is that these treasures can be found in the most unexpected places. You could find one sitting in an old jar at your grandparents' house, mixed in with spare change, or tucked away in a forgotten drawer. That's the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that a coin worth thousands could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice it. Over time, the Lincoln wheat penny has become a cornerstone of American numismatics, the study and collection of coins. Collectors often start with these pennies because they're affordable, historical, and easy to find, yet some dates and conditions are incredibly rare, commanding astonishing prices at auctions. The 1951 no-mint mark variety is one of those subtle, sleeper coins that appear common on the surface but reveal their true worth under close inspection. And let's not forget the emotional side of coin collecting. Each coin tells a story of the people who used it, the hands it passed through, and the time in which it was made. The 1951 penny witnessed the dawn of the Cold War, the rise of rock and roll, and the golden age of American prosperity. When you hold one in your hand, you're literally holding a small piece of history, a connection to a world that's long gone but never forgotten. The metal composition itself adds another layer of interest. These pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving them that classic reddish hue that has stood the test of time. It's worth noting that copper coins like this have intrinsic value not just for their rarity, but for their material as well. Over time, copper has become more valuable, and early wheat pennies represent the last of an era before the metal composition of coins was drastically altered. Coin experts recommend storing valuable pennies like the 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny in protective holders or coin flips to prevent damage and oxidation. Exposure to air, moisture, or fingerprints can darken the surface and reduce its luster, and therefore, its value. If you happen to find a bright red, original coin, preserving that shine is crucial. A single fingerprint could literally cost you hundreds of dollars in collector value. Now, before we reveal the value of this remarkable coin, let's recap what makes it so special. It's a historical artifact struck during a defining period of American history. It bears a timeless design that honors one of the nation's greatest leaders, and despite millions being minted, only a select few have survived in pristine condition. Its beauty, history, and rarity make it one of the most collectible pieces in the entire Lincoln Wheat series. Imagine finding one in your change, something you might have spent without a second thought suddenly becoming a prized possession. That's what makes the world of coin collecting so fascinating. It's not just about money, it's about discovery, history, and the joy of unearthing forgotten treasures. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. In the world of rare coins, value depends heavily on condition, rarity, and demand. While a typical circulated 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny might be worth just a few cents, an uncirculated gem, with its original copper-red shine, flawless surface, and perfect strike, can command astonishing prices from collectors and auction houses. So if you ever come across a brilliant, untouched example of this 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, handle it with care, because its estimated value could reach an incredible $23,465. Thank you for watching World Information HD. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more hidden treasures from history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. The year was 1952, a time when the world was recovering from war, families were rebuilding dreams, and the United States of America was standing tall in a new era of hope and innovation. Among all the historical changes happening in the nation, something very small, yet extraordinary, was quietly being made inside the minting facilities, the 1952 Lincoln wheat penny. A tiny copper coin, weighing just over 3 grams, yet holding immense stories, mysteries, and hidden value that would one day make collectors go wild. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most interesting and sometimes overlooked coins, the 1952 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. You might think a single penny isn't worth a second thought, but this one could actually be worth far more than what it says on its surface. Let's start by turning back time to understand where this iconic coin truly comes from. The Lincoln wheat cent, first introduced in 1909, was designed by Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, one of America's most beloved presidents. It replaced the Indian head penny and became one of the longest-running and most familiar coin designs in U.S. history. The wheat design on the reverse side symbolized American prosperity and growth, while the front carried the proud, thoughtful face of Lincoln himself, a mark of unity and freedom. By 1952, the coin had already been in circulation for over 4 decades. However, the post-war years brought with them subtle changes in metal composition, minting techniques, and striking quality. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark, created millions of these 1952 Lincoln wheat pennies. And yet, among these millions, a few were struck so perfectly, or sometimes with tiny minting errors, that today, they stand out as extremely valuable treasures. To the casual eye, the 1952 penny looks quite ordinary. It's made mostly of copper, with a hint of tin and zinc. But here's where it gets interesting. Even within a single year's production, small variations can make an enormous difference in a coin's value. Things like doubling in the date, die cracks, or misaligned strikes can turn what appears to be a simple 1-cent coin into something worth hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. If you happen to come across a 1952 penny, the first thing to check is whether it has a mint mark. If it has none, meaning it's from the Philadelphia Mint, you've got what's known as a 1952 no mint mark Lincoln wheat cent. Now, most of these coins were produced in large quantities, but condition and rarity are everything when it comes to coin collecting. Let's take a closer look at what makes certain 1952 pennies stand out. Over the years, coin experts and collectors have found that coins preserved in excellent condition, those with original red luster and minimal wear, can bring astonishing prices. Imagine a coin that's been in circulation for over 70 years still shining like it just left the mint. That's what collectors pay top dollar for. There are also several varieties that can make your 1952 penny even more special. Some have visible doubling on the date or letters, especially on "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." Others might show minor die cracks near the rim or across Lincoln's shoulder. Even a small misalignment can catch a collector's eye and boost its worth significantly. Now, here's something many people don't realize: not every old coin automatically means big money. The real key lies in rarity, demand, and condition. Most circulated 1952 pennies, the ones you'd find in jars, drawers, or old boxes, might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars, depending on where. But if you have a coin that has never been used in everyday transactions, something graded as mint state by a professional coin grading service, that's where the real treasure lies. The difference between a coin worth pennies and one worth thousands is often microscopic, but the experts know exactly what to look for. They examine surface details, color, and even strike quality under magnification. The sharper the image, the more flawless the surface, and the brighter the luster, the more valuable the coin. Collectors are especially drawn to coins with what's called red designation, meaning the coin has retained its bright copper-red color over the decades. These coins are often stored in protective holders, never touched by human hands, and kept away from air and moisture. A 1952 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny with full original red luster can easily command a premium price. Beyond its material value, the coin also holds deep historical meaning. Think about it. Every single penny from that year has been through decades of American life. Some might have been used to buy candy in the 1950s, passed through the hands of young soldiers, tucked away by collectors, or even buried in forgotten jars for generations. Each one has a story, and that's part of what makes coin collecting so captivating. But let's not forget the artistry. Victor D. Brenner's portrait of Lincoln has stood the test of time. His careful attention to detail, from the furrowed brows to the soft expression, captures Lincoln's dignity and strength. The reverse side, featuring 2 wheat stalks, frames the words, 1 cent, beautifully, reminding everyone of America's agricultural roots and resilience. Even though newer designs have replaced the wheat ears, many collectors still regard the wheat penny as the most beloved design in American coinage. It connects history, art, and everyday life in a way few objects can. Now, as with all coins, condition grading plays the biggest role in determining how much your penny is worth today. Grading ranges from poor, heavily worn and nearly unreadable, to mint state, perfect, untouched condition. Coins graded between MS60 and MS67 are the ones that truly attract high-end collectors. Let's imagine for a moment that you've found a 1952 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny sitting unnoticed in an old coin jar or inherited collection. Before you think it's just spare change, consider having it examined by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. You never know, that tiny piece of copper could be a hidden gem. Another fascinating aspect is that coin values often increase over time. As more coins disappear into private collections, those remaining in pristine condition become rarer. Combine that with the nostalgia for the wheat penny series, and it's easy to see why prices continue to rise. Collectors across the world are always on the lookout for the next great find. Sometimes, people even stumble upon uncirculated rolls of these coins hidden in old drawers or estates. These rolls can contain dozens of bright, lustrous pennies that were never used, a treasure chest waiting to be discovered. If you ever come across a 1952 penny that looks different from others, maybe the color is brighter, the strike is sharper, or there's an unusual pattern, don't rush to spend it. Do some research or show it to an expert. You might be holding something that collectors dream about. And remember, the true magic of coin collecting isn't just about profit. It's about holding a piece of American history in your hand, something that has survived the rise of technology, wars, and cultural revolutions. These coins connect us to the past, reminding us how far we've come as a nation. There's also a sense of mystery that makes this hobby so addictive. Somewhere out there, in someone's attic, in an old coffee can or forgotten coin folder, could be a near-perfect 1952 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny just waiting to be rediscovered. When it comes to rare coins, patience and curiosity are key. Collectors who pay attention to detail, study variations, and handle their finds with care are the ones who uncover the true treasures of numismatics. And now, for the part you've been waiting for. Just how valuable can a 1952 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny be if it's in exceptional, mint state condition? While most circulated examples are worth a modest amount. One incredibly well-preserved coin with stunning red color, flawless strike, and no marks of wear once sold for an astonishing amount. $22,663. Yes, that's right. A single copper penny, barely bigger than a fingertip, valued at over $22,000. That's the beauty of the coin world, where history, rarity, and perfection meet to create something truly priceless. So the next time you see a simple old penny, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. you might just be holding a small piece of history that could change your life forever. Because in the fascinating world of rare coins, even the tiniest treasures can shine brighter than gold. Welcome back to World Information HD, your ultimate destination for discovering the hidden treasures of American coin history. Today, we're about to dive deep into one of the most fascinating coins ever minted, the 1954 D Lincoln Wheat Penny from the United States of America. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary old penny that has lost its shine with age. But believe me, what lies behind this little copper coin is an incredible story of history, mystery, and unbelievable value. Before you toss away that old penny lying in your drawer or inside a forgotten jar, take a moment to listen carefully, because that 1954 D Wheat penny could be worth a small fortune. Yes, it's possible that you could be holding one of the rarest and most valuable versions of this iconic coin without even realizing it. Let's begin by traveling back in time to the year 1954. Dwight D. Eisenhower was President of the United States. Elvis Presley was rising to fame, and America was in the midst of post-war prosperity. The Denver Mint, located in the heart of Colorado, was busy producing millions of Lincoln cents. These coins carried the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the two wheat ears on the reverse, a symbol of growth and strength during America's early 20th century. The 1954 D Wheat penny, with its distinctive D Mint mark under the date, represents the Denver Mint's contribution to one of the most collected coin series in U.S. history. Over 250 million of these coins were struck, a massive number by any standard. So how could a coin that was minted in such large quantities ever become valuable? Well, that's where the story gets fascinating. Not every 1954 D penny is ordinary. Some of them have unique errors, variations, or special conditions that make them stand out. These mistakes, often unintentional, have turned into gold mines for collectors. Imagine, a small minting error that was overlooked back in 1954 could now make a simple penny worth thousands of dollars today. One of the most famous and desirable types of 1954 D pennies are those with double die errors. These coins were struck more than once, causing the design elements, especially the date, the word Liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust," to appear doubled. When viewed under magnification, this doubling can be strikingly clear, making the coin a collector's dream. Another variety that excites collectors is the repunched mint mark, known as the RPM. This occurs when the letter D was punched more than once on the die, slightly off from the original position. Some 1954 D pennies show this mint mark doubling quite distinctly. A coin with a clean, well-defined RPM can command a significant premium, especially when found in mint state condition. And let's not forget about off-center strikes and broad strikes, where the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting. These types of errors can result in a partially blank or misshapen coin, the kind of minting oddity that serious collectors pay top dollar to own. But condition matters as much as rarity. The coin grading scale, used by professional organizations like PCGS and NGC, plays a huge role in determining value. The scale runs from poor P1 to mint state MS70. A typical 1954 D penny that has circulated for decades might grade anywhere between VG, very good, and EF, extremely fine, meaning it might only fetch a few cents above its face value. However, if you find one that has been preserved perfectly, a bright red, uncirculated example with no scratches, no discoloration, and full mint luster, you've just stepped into the world of premium coin collecting. A mint state 1954 D penny graded MS65 or higher can be extremely desirable, particularly when it has vibrant red color. Over time, copper coins often change shades, from red to red-brown and eventually to brown, depending on how they were stored. Collectors prize those that still display their original red brilliance, as these are the hardest to find. It's fascinating how a tiny piece of copper can hold so much historical and financial significance. The Wheat Penny series itself ran from 1909 to 1958, covering nearly 50 years of American history. The 1954 D stands among the final years before the wheat reverse design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. This makes the 1954 penny even more appealing, as it belongs to the last chapter of an era that shaped U.S. numismatics forever. Now let's talk about where you can actually find these valuable coins. Many collectors have stumbled upon rare 1954 pennies in the most unexpected places. Tucked away in old piggy banks, stored in glass jars, or mixed in boxes of forgotten change. Estate sales, antique shops, and even flea markets are great places to hunt for these historical treasures. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1954 penny that looks uncirculated or displays unusual features, handle it carefully. It might be worth far more than you think. It's also a good idea to invest in a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to check for those key error details. Look closely at the mint mark, the date, and the edges of the coin. A small imperfection could mean a huge payoff. Many people have overlooked valuable coins simply because they didn't know what to look for. Now, let's imagine a real example. Picture someone discovering an old coin collection passed down from a grandparent. Hidden among dozens of ordinary pennies lies one special 1954 wheat penny, its surface gleaming, its details crisp, and its color a vivid red. After careful research and submission to a professional grading service, the coin comes back certified as MS67 red, an almost flawless specimen. Suddenly, what was once a simple heirloom becomes an extraordinary piece worth thousands of dollars. It's amazing to think that coins like these continue to circulate occasionally, unnoticed by most people. Some of them may still sit inside rolls of pennies at your local bank, waiting to be discovered. It's the thrill of the hunt that keeps collectors searching, day after day, hoping to find that one extraordinary coin that changes everything. The story of the 1954 wheat penny also reminds us of how craftsmanship, small mistakes, and time itself can transform everyday objects into treasures. The mint workers in Denver back then could never have imagined that the coins they struck would one day be studied, admired, and sold for more money than they could have dreamed. In today's numismatic market, collectors value not only rarity, but also the story behind each coin, and the 1954 penny has both. It stands as a symbol of America's post-war optimism, an era when every cent mattered, and coins were made with attention to detail and pride. As with all coins, the best advice for anyone who believes they might have a valuable one is to have it professionally graded and authenticated. Many reputable grading companies can verify your coin's authenticity, assess its condition, and help you understand its market value. So the next time you come across an old jar of change, don't dismiss those wheat pennies as worthless. Take a closer look, because you never know when you might be holding a 1954 with a minting error, full red luster, or near-perfect preservation. Each coin tells a story, and some stories can change your life. After all, history isn't just found in books or museums, sometimes it's sitting quietly in the palm of your hand. And now, for the part you've all been waiting for, the rarest and most pristine 1954 Lincoln wheat penny ever discovered, in absolutely flawless condition, once sold for an astonishing $39,888. So, keep your eyes open, coin hunters, because that small copper penny jingling in your pocket right now might just be your golden ticket to fortune. Thank you for watching World Information HD, where every coin tells a story, and every story might just lead to your next big discovery. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories about rare coins and the hidden treasures of American history.